Welcome to the Wright County Board of Commissioners. It is May 15th. We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. All right, minutes for the county board meeting of May 8th. Does anybody have any corrections, changes? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Is there any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of the agenda. We have a couple things that we need to add it on here.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Bob?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add to my timed items just a quick credit card acceptance update, the Forte contract, just to give you a status update.
Okay, so Bob's timed number 3.
Hi, good morning, Board. I would like to position on the consent agenda referral to Personnel Committee for the May 30th personnel meeting, the hiring of a senior survey tech position.
So item E on consent agenda. You going to take the last one, Lee, or is
I
the
believe
attorney?
I have the last addition for the day. I have a consent agenda item, approval of a 3-month unpaid leave of absence extension for an employee.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion with the acceptance of these 3 additions to 1 to the timed item and 2 to the consent agenda.
I will second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they would like to be removed for further discussions?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda as revised.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any other discussions? Questions? Answers? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Timed agenda. Sheriff Joe Haggerty.
Thank you, Chair, Board. This week is National Law Enforcement Week, and specifically today, the 15th every year for many years now, it's Law Enforcement Memorial Day. Members of our honor guard will be down at the Capitol on the South Lawn. There's a law enforcement memorial there. Been there for many years, and we've had a long history of standing at that monument. Many honor guards from around the state participate in it, so we'll be down there, I believe, standing from 5 to 5:20 with our crew. But we certainly appreciate you allowing us just to recognize some folks today. And we've had 7 law enforcement officers in Wright County dating back to the late 1800s who have lost their life in the line of duty. And with that, I believe Commissioner Hewsome will read a proclamation again this year. Thank you.
Thank you. A resolution proclaiming May 14th through the 19th, 2018 as Law Enforcement Officers Week in Wright County. Whereas the law enforcement officers of Wright County have worked devotedly and selflessly on behalf of the people of the county and the state of Minnesota, regardless of the peril or hazard to themselves, and whereas these officers have safeguarded the lives and property of their fellow citizens, and whereas by the enforcement of our laws, these same officers have given our county internal freedom from fear of violence and civil disorder, and whereas 7 Wright County law enforcement officers, including Constable Charles Albert Washburn, Sheriff John C. Nugent Jr., Marshal Rudolph Mauer, Sheriff Paul Kritzik, Sheriff James Kreitlow, Chief George Wright, and Sheriff Roger Roble have given the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives in the line of duty. And whereas these men and women of law enforcement, by their patriotic service and their dedicated efforts, have earned the gratitude of our community, therefore be it resolved that the Wright County Board of Commissioners formally declares May 14th through the 19th, 2018 as Law Enforcement Officers Week in Wright County, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and communities across the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. We've had a long run without losing an officer in Wright County through violence, car crashes, anything like that. And we kind of make our own luck when we have a real good partnership with the people we serve, which is very important for us. They're watching out for us as well as us watching for them. Plus, vehicles have become safer, engineering on the roadways have become better, and we're working every day through Safe Communities and other partnerships to make sure that everybody in our line of work, emergency responders, fire department, ambulance, everybody stays safe. So we appreciate the support we have here in Wright County and across the state of Minnesota. With that, I'll introduce Sergeant Ryan Ferguson.
One moment.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to pass this resolution.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Potter. Any other discussions? Other than thank you all for what you do.
Absolutely.
Yes. Very grateful.
Resolution, Commissioner Burrell.
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous to a bunch of well-deserving people.
Yes, definitely.
Morning, Commissioners. Thank you again for having us this year. We're going to recognize 3 individuals, 2 teachers from the Monticello School District and one of our own deputies. I'll start off with Monticello High School teachers Bruce Boulder Lanou and Jason Telecki. On November 21st, 2017, at about 6:02, basketball practice was just starting in the Monticello High School gym. A 15-year-old student athlete who was participating in shooting drills suddenly collapsed to the floor, losing consciousness. Teacher Bruce Boulder Lanou noticed and ran to the student's aid. Bruce called out for an AED machine, which teacher Jason Telecki retrieved. The 2 men then worked together, getting the AED attached to the student, and the machine advised that a shock was needed, which was then delivered. The student soon regained consciousness and was alert and speaking when first responders arrived on scene. The quick thinking and action of Bruce and Jason saved the young student's life that morning. The Wright County Sheriff's Office would like to present both men with our Citizen Letter of Recognition Award. These 2 men were nominated for this award by the student's father, Bruce Boulder Lanou and Jason Telecki.
Yeah, go ahead and go ahead and take their picture.
Mark, no bunny ears for the sheriff.
Did you get him to smile? Did they?
All right, I have one more here for Deputy Eric Thole. On December 27th of last year, 2017, Deputy Eric Thole and Deputy Mike McGill responded to what seemed to be a routine medical call at an address in the city of Otsego. An elderly male who lives alone had fallen on his front porch and required assistance getting back up. Deputies arrived, helped the man to his feet, and he then assured them that he was fine and wished to be left about his daily chores. He refused any further medical care and again stated he wished that the deputies would leave him to his chores. The elderly man was adamant that he had simply slipped on the ice and did not require their help. With the needed information gathered and the man's assurances, Deputy McGill stated he was prepared to clear from the routine call. It then became apparent to Deputy McGill through body language that Deputy Eric Thole was not ready to leave. McGill trusted Thole's instincts and remained on scene with him. Deputy Thole continued to make small talk with the man and even offered he and McGill's services in changing a few light bulbs around the house. It became clear to McGill that Thole was stalling for a reason. After about 10 to 15 minutes of sometimes awkward silence and awkward small talk, the elderly man began showing clear signs of suffering from a stroke. Deputy Thole then reported that one side of the man's face was now drooping and his speech had become slurred. Thole reactivated an ambulance that the elderly gentleman had wished canceled and continued speaking with the man until the ambulance arrived. After a couple of weeks, an update was received that the man had indeed suffered at least 2 strokes, which would have been fatal had the deputy simply left after helping him to his feet and listening to his wish for them to leave. Deputy Thole's instincts, training, compassion, and genuine concern for the citizens he served saves this man's life. Deputy Thole showcased the highest traditions of the Wright County Sheriff's Office and is being recognized today with a Commendation Award. Deputy Thole was nominated by his patrol partner, Deputy Mike McGill, for this award. Deputy Eric Thole.
Get a picture with this family, too.
Yes, bring them up. Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. There you go.
Gonna put the bunny ears behind the sheriff. Young man.
A question.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Is that gentleman still alive?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Board.
Thanks for your instincts.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's a tough act to follow, by the way. We're just here to request to schedule a 911 Planning Committee meeting for the end of June or beginning of June, whichever we could accommodate. We're looking to do an update of our 911 plan and some technology updates we'd like to discuss during that meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just the committee or committee of the whole for this?
Just the committee, I think.
Just the 911.
Just the committee. This is the 911 Planning Committee.
Commissioner Houston and I do.
Yep, that's up to you guys.
What date in June did you have one picked out? We'll give
No,
you-
not specifically. Maybe the second week of June?
So we're talking the 11th to the 16th?
Would you be looking possibly at like, Tuesday the 12th? Would that?
The 12th and 14th of that week are a no.
Are they?
12th.
Okay.
I can't do the 12th.
So,
Mr. Chair, you could look at the afternoon of committee day, which would be the 13th, as an option.
yeah, the 11th or the 13th, would either of those dates work?
Yes.
13th. Do you want to name a time right now, or you got some other people?
If we could, we have somebody, the 911 project manager from the state is planning on also
Okay.
attending.
Why don't we say 1 o'clock on the 13th?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes, if you could.
Yeah, I will. And I'll make a motion to set the 911 committee meeting on Wednesday, June 13th at 1 o'clock PM.
And will that be in C-118 also, like where we were last time?
Yeah, I think that would be
Okay.
great.
You can let us know if you can't get the room and have a different one. So.
Wonderful.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Potter. Any questions? Discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimous. Do you have something regarding technology update too? Or is it?
Part of the same meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
those are the items that will be discussed at the agenda, or on the
Okay.
agenda to be discussed.
Okay.
Morning, Board.
Morning.
The first item on the agenda is to approve the April revenue expenditure guidelines. Ryan in my office is busy working on perfecting the dashboard for the commissioners. He's been working on the departments. I worked with him to show him how I would review the guidelines, and there's really nothing for me to draw your attention to. Everything is cyclical. We don't have our property taxes until today. It's bad that we time our tax due date during the public safety week, but unless you have any questions, I'll ask you to approve the April guidelines.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the April revenue expenditure budget report.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Or the second item on the agenda is, if you remember, we moved forward with the no ink poll pads. We used them in the township elections. It's a rarity for me to experience the township thanking me for technology. So that was pretty impressive.
They were very happy, ones I
Right.
talked to. Yep.
And one of the comments, if you remember, a township said, well, can we get some more? Well, we just had the Secretary of State training in Brainerd, and that was a big topic that came up about, well, what would be the proper equation to come up with? And we first started with 1 poll pad per 1,000 registered voters. And the consensus of the group was to really acquire 1 poll pad per 700. So if we did that, I need to buy some more poll pads. Now, in your packet, I gave you the background. So we have the allotment from CIP to cover this. So again, my goal would be to maintain at least 3 poll pads in each township on the equation of 1 poll pad per 700 registered voters.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the 1 poll pad per 700 for the additional purchases out of CIP.
Second.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Board, the item I petitioned on was just an update. Board, I felt that you had given me the marching orders to move forward with soliciting a contract from Forte. When I met with Forte and they explained some of our, why we didn't go with them and what could they have done better, they in turn reduced their fees from the $250 to the $235, which is what they had offered us on taxes. So we'd have $235 across the board on any pass-along fees, and then of course they were as aggressive as everybody on the absorption. So with this contract, we would move our property taxes to Forte, which was right now the people pay $225. But in order to achieve that benefit of having 1 credit card company throughout the county, I'd be asking you to authorize me to go up to the $235 standard credit card fee for all the departments.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Potter.
I'd like to have a comment from you on this because you've been knee-deep in this credit card update. Does this match, you said the license, every department here, we're going to have the same one, so we don't have the same?
There's no way we'll have 1 credit card processing for everything. It's a great idea, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. But it's possible that we may be able to use it down at the DMV, but there's some things that we're still trying to deal with that's on the state.
Right, one of those things is the state told us that we have to charge $245. That's what they had negotiated with US Bank. So we're hoping that we can use Forte for DMV because we take DNR transactions there as well as motor vehicle. So we're going to make our case that we'd like to use our credit card company. But in that case, we'd have to charge $245. But wherever we can, we want to use Forte as our merchant for credit card acceptance.
Follow-up question for the chair.
Go ahead.
Are you okay with this, where we're at with this? Because you've been kind of at the forefront of all trying to get this solved here.
Absolutely.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to, approve Bob going to 235, 2.35% for the credit card Forte.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Any other discussions?
Mr. Chair, I mean, basically you're authorizing me to sign the contract, right?
Yes. Hey, we've come a long ways, Mark.
Yeah, in a few months here.
In a few months, considering we turned the bus, did a total U-turn, and we came out with the same success in the end, so, as far as the rates and everything, so.
Right, remember our first vendor was all about negotiating the best rate. This vendor said, hey, we recognize that and they're going to step up, so. Not quite exactly the same, but very close.
So in other words, what you're saying is Commissioner Delyden will not be able to make a career out of the credit card deal.
Thank God for that.
Oh, you didn't like our little 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock meetings and?
No, it's just that it's been going on for a long time.
Welcome to government.
Well, with this signed contract, Commissioners, we're going to be working with Forte members. We hope that we'll have some credit card acceptance. Steve Job today asked to move forward with his project, which might be a good fit for Forte. They're already the authorized vendor behind that, so I think we're going to have a credit card solution, whether it's a swipe at the counter or something within the next month.
Yeah, Forte has more options than Paymentus does.
Okay.
Which I think it'll be a much better fit for the county.
Good.
Any other discussions?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Dr. Mattice. He's a parks doctor,
Yeah.
not a medical doctor, parks doctor.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Hopefully a quick item for you. I have a donation from a landowner at Nye Park. It's 1.1 acres. Back in 2003, he did a subdivision plat called Deer Path. Outlot A was in there as part of the park dedication fees. It's time to move that into us, so this donation, there's a resolution in your packet, Brian. Right? Yep. We never did this before, and then Lindsay Meyer came on, and she likes to follow rules.
Yeah.
Gotta get rid of that. And
Good.
now we do these resolutions for these types of donations. So resolutions in your packet, it's 1.1 acres. It's on Lake Mary. It's 126 feet wide, 360 feet wide. It's a 30% elevation drop in that 30-foot elevation drop in that 126 feet. It's an unbuildable lot, and it just protects that lake shore and that buffer, and it's adjacent to Nye Park. Runs right into our boundary.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Is this connected to Nye Park?
Yes.
Then?
Yep.
It is. So it would just, I'm just wondering, are we taking something on just to maintain it and?
No, it's the whole, I got a little map here I brought with me in case you asked that question, but it's not a good map. It's the lake shore on Lake Mary, and the park is park line and this line match up together. So
it's between the town road.
Town road and the lake. Yeah.
And is it going to be usable for anything in the park? I mean, like for hiking or not camping or, so what do we need it for?
But it's no good either way. I mean, it has no real value because you can't build on it either.
Yeah.
Can't build on it either, and it's
A deer hotel.
It's a deer hotel. It's shoreline protection. You know, it's part of a 2003 document of planning and zoning that it's part of his parkland dedication.
That's a nice little strip along the lake.
I suppose somebody could
And
put a trail along it eventually.
Somebody could walk down shorefish there.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the 1.1 acre property donation to be included in the park system.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch. Is there any other discussions? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Potter.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Didn't know which way it was going.
Thank you.
I'll just keep-
The chair's discretion.
What?
I said I didn't know which way it was going, if it's gonna go back around to Charlie's house. I just said I'll keep it going.
Oh, yeah, fine by me.
Then go back.
Trying to confuse Charlie.
Did it too.
That's
Good work.
Good. We succeeded. Mr. Virgil Hawkins.
Well, good morning, Chairman Deladden and Board of Commissioners. We have two items today to bring for your consideration. The first one is to approve Agreement 1851 for the Highway 18 reconstruction project. This agreement's between the cities of Albertville, St. Michael, Joint Powers Board, and Wright County. And the other three agencies have signed off on it already.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement 1851 for CASA 18 reconstruction project within the city limits of Albertville and St. Michael.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Burrell. Any other discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
First off, I want to thank Virgil and his crew, and then Steve Job and his crew for making sure that the construction limits, all the flags were out there, because the farmers asked the question, how do I know where to plant, not to plant? And they were on top of it, and thank you.
You're welcome. And that was done with our survey. Engineering staff goes out and does that.
Yeah.
But thank you for that.
And Steve did a follow-up on it. Job did a follow-up on it just to make sure. He told me that this morning.
Oh, really?
He did a follow-up on it just to make sure.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you. The second item is to award bids that we received last Thursday for the Highway 18 reconstruction project. And I did email the results to everyone, but I did bring copies if anyone would like a copy. But we'd like to recommend award of the base bid and alternate 2 to Wright Company in the amount of $4,841,962.75, which ended up being 4.76% under the engineer's estimate.
Nice.
And alternate 2 is mucking out. There's a area of really poor soil, and we had 2 alternates. One was to do a surcharge on it, and the other was to muck it all out, just dig it all out. And alternate 2, the bid came in lower to do that option, so we'd like to recommend it.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to award the County State Aid County Road 18 reconstruction project in the amount of $4,841,962.75 to the Wright Company.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Any other discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Virgil, thank you for option 2 mucking that out, because that particular road, when Albertville at that other end, we had to muck that thing out because there's some bad soils in there, and we're going to make for a much better road. Just do it now, do it right, and be done with it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So are we on budget as far as with the land acquisition cost and now with the bids? Are we still on what we were estimating for the total project cost?
Based on the engineer's estimate on the plans that were put together, we're below the estimate that we had.
Even with the land acquisitions and stuff, so we're...
Land acquisition isn't included in this.
Is it included in that 4.8? This
No.
is all the... No, that
This is
wasn't.
just
That's
construction
This is just, okay, that's what I thought, so...
But we're within what we have for lost revenues for this year. And when we put together the lost program list, we didn't have a detailed estimate at that time. So we had a placeholder dollar amount in there, which was much lower.
Lot lower.
Correct.
Because on the lost, it shows 2.5.
Yeah, for our share, and our share, based on the bids, is 3.3 million for the construction, plus the right-of-ways and additional amount. So it is higher, but at the time we put the lost list together last July, we just put in a number, a placeholder. We didn't know the detail, that there'd be a couple roundabouts and a lot of muck excavation. So
But once we did that estimate, to know what the actual scope of work was, the bids came in a little bit lower than that.
I don't know, my last conversation was that it was going to only cost the county about 2.2. I'm kind of surprised that it's up that high.
Again, in this, based on, once we had the scope of work figured out with the detailed plans, that's the only time we really know the estimate. The other ones are ballpark guesses pretty much without really knowing what the scope of work is going to end up being. Good news is the lost revenue we have is going to be able to cover all this, so.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also keep in mind when you're doing roads, sins of the past get revisited until you really delve into it. You really don't know what's underneath there. What was done, 50th Street being old, what they refer to as a mule trail. That was one of those projects like a few others around the county that you knew were always going to go a little more than you thought because you're uncovering sins of the past. And it's not going to get any cheaper by waiting, so let's just get it over with, and we can move on from this one.
Any other discussions? It's not a resolution, right?
No.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion carries 4-1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Items for consideration. Committee minutes, technology. Commissioner Vetch?
All right, the IT committee met on May 9th. A bunch of people were present. There's a list on there if you want to if you want to know who they all are. First item on there for the agenda was the project portfolio update. IT has identified that 1/3 of staff time is available to devote to project work within this available time. 26% of this available time is for technical compliance, 67% is for strategic projects, and 7% is for discretionary projects. This is kind of the first step that is going to give us kind of that transparency into IT as to what projects they're working on and how much they're working on it. Once you guys all get a chance to kind of sit through these IT meetings and kind of get to see this project portfolio list, you'll actually be able to see that there's an ongoing gauge that tells you how much, what percentage of each projects are completed in. It's ongoing. I think it's updated maybe monthly, Mark?
I believe so.
I think so too. So, then they reviewed the targeted projects for completion in May, which is the Office 365 Exchange migration, the PA system upgrade, and the Everbridge Code Red. So that's kind of another thing we kind of get an update as to monthly which items projects are coming off the list. There was just kind of some discussion around that. That was informational only. The second item is the ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. We basically kind of had a short synopsis as to what the scope of the RFP would be, and with Infotech, there's not a lot of information was discussed at this last meeting regarding that. There's more to come. If those of you looked, Lee emailed out the scope of work or statement of work with Infotech this morning. So then basically that action item, you guys should have all received it this morning, which is to the statement of work for review by the ERP committee and the board. Third item is the Office 365 status update. The migration was completed in the end of April. We're still moving out on some of the finer features of Office 365. I think maybe by now they've moved all of the, I think everybody's Skype, is it all done now, completed now? So everybody now has the Office 365 Skype for Business features. I think we're a little bit further out on the rollout of the cloud version of Word Excel because we have some SharePoint items that needed to be worked out with that. So that one will be more to come down the road. That was informational only. We had the fourth item, we had a little discussion as whether we need to still do bi-monthly meetings. I think, well, at this point, we're going to keep meeting bi-monthly, but we can cancel them if we don't feel they're necessary. This was the shortest IT meeting we've had in my short 18-month tenure. This was the only meeting that we were able to complete in less than 30 minutes.
Really?
But we made it by 1 minute, but yeah. So then the security camera project upgrades, basically the discussion as to whether the LEC was contributed in the alternate bid. And Lee, did you find that out, whether the cameras were in part of that alternate bid?
Yeah, we were planning to include it in the next section that goes out.
That's what I thought. We just didn't know that for sure in that discussions at the IT meeting. So that was just kind of some discussion as to whether in the construction project, whether the camera upgrades were going to be replaced in the LEC as well. And we believed it was, but we want to make some clarification. So that was basically just kind of information to report back whether the funding was there or not for that. With that, I make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations for the IT committee from May 9th.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Is there any other discussions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Potter.
the speed in which that committee went through, could it have been because of the member that was absent? Just a note.
All right, you're welcome. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Commissioner Houston.
The Personnel Employee Relations Committee met on May 9th, 2018. Members present, Elyden Hewsome, Lee Kelly, and Forshawn Johnson, and others present, Regine Hawkinson-Hausman. And the first item was a memorandum of understanding with the 49ers Union for 4 10-hour work weeks in the engineering division. And Lee Kelly distributed the memorandum of understanding between Wright County, or showed us actually, and the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 49. And Chad Hausman, the assistant highway engineer, said that there was some productivity benefits for employees to have an extra hour or two at work, and this would apply primarily during the summer, winter, and early spring, not during the summer when the maintenance and workers are out on the roads. And he said that he'll stagger the employee schedule so they'll have some staff that work on Fridays, and a supervisor will always be on hand. And they it made sense to the engineers, so the union was on board with it. So the recommendation was to approve the memorandum of understanding with the 49ers for 4 10-hour work weeks in the engineering division. The second item was the hiring of a communication specialist above the 12% of minimum hire range. Lee Kelly said 2 rounds of interviews were held for this position, and 2 candidates were interviewed a second time. Both finalists requested compensation higher than the 12% above minimum. The selected candidate has more than 16 years in marketing and communication, including a journalism degree and 7 years experience working for local newspapers. The candidate was instrumental in increasing usage of her former employees' social media by 60%, and also rebranded their materials and updated their website. Sue Virgin, assistant county coordinator, said her references were glowing. Lee Kelly said this person will be the county spokesperson in the event of a crisis. Recommendation: approve hiring of communication specialist above 12% of the range, which is $51,396 to $71,926 at a salary of $64,800 per year. So with that, Mr. Chair, I will move the minutes and the recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Potter. Any other discussions?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Lee, this is a new position, and this is what we talked about, kind of a public relations officer?
Correct, yep.
Okay, because I'm not against the person, I'm against the position, so I will be opposing this. I just don't think we need it, so I've said that before. So.
All right. Any other discussion?
I just I said I'll do it for free.
We did have a lot of discussion about, well, not a lot, but just the fact that the website and just keeping on top of that and working with the departments on that. So it's, when you have a person that's dedicated to some of these tasks, instead of having a lot of people trying to do, you know, a bit, and certainly our website is just really wonderful compared, I mean, it's upgraded much more than it was 5 years ago when we came on. So they've been doing, you know, a good job, but if you're dedicated to it, then you can do a better job.
Well, a county of our size, you need somebody to vet that information to make sure that the information being put out countywide is consistent and that there's a hub for all the information.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
it's somebody that specializes within it, because right now, you know, you have questions whether this would be a good statement, not a good statement. We don't have anybody that specializes.
And that's the other piece of it too, to have that one person that can be the spokesperson. And so there's going to be a lot of advantages to having this person on board, and certainly admin knows better than we do.
Charlie, then what's that statement you always said? He who doesn't toot his horn, or
His mother used
Who
to say
tooteth
that.
not his own horn, had his own horn not tooteth.
yeah. So this person is going to help
Tooteth your horn.
toot the horn of Wright County.
Wright County.
You know, and
So no, and I understand, Charlie.
But I mean, even just the social media now, people look to Twitter, they're looking for information, and those little millennials, they're looking at Twitter. They want these tweets to be coming out about what's going on, and you know, keeping up with Facebook and these social medias. They go for quick information, but so it's not going to be not just being the spokesperson for the county. That's part of it, but yeah.
You don't need to make Charlie feel guilty.
No, I mean,
But then, Mr. Chair, I do
communication
have-
specialist kind of entails a lot of
I
things.
do have one other just minor concern, because I said I don't think this is going to fail anyway, but by voting against this, it makes me vote also against the 40-hour work week, and I'm not opposed to that, so, because they're not
The 410s, you mean, yeah.
you know, whatever.
We can separate those out.
Yeah, we could separate them.
Could, if
If
you wish.
the motion makers would
Yes.
withdraw and change it.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to approve the
Can I
minutes
get
and
you
the
to-
recommendations
Can I
for
get you
item
to
one.
withdraw?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I will withdraw.
I'll withdraw a
my
second.
motion.
All right, now,
Now I will make a motion to recommend the minutes, or, yeah, no, I don't even know, the minutes and the recommendations of item one.
Except for, yeah, item one. Okay, I'll second that.
right at one, Commissioner, motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the memorandum of understanding between County of Wright and the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local Number 49, AFL-CIO. Any other discussion regarding that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Now, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes and the recommendation of hiring the communication specialist of above 12% of the minimum hire rate.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Potter. Any other discussions regarding the second item? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Resolution proclaiming,
Do
Mr.
we have
Chair,
to pass this too?
Just for clarification, we do have the MOU between the union and the county as this item B was that intended that the vote we just took covered that. I had put it on a separate item, so.
I think that's kind of covered what we,
Okay.
on the first one. We approved it, so I don't think we need to
Sign it.
repeat it. Resolution proclaiming May 20th to 26th as Emergency Medical Service Week. My guess is this is you, Commissioner Houston?
Yeah, I did request it. Somebody else want to read it since I read the last one? You want me to?
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
All right.
He did, I can.
The resolution EMS Week proclamation to designate the week of May 20th to the 26th, 2018 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas Emergency Medical Services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and whereas emergency medical services consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedic, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore, the Wright County Board, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th to 26th, 2018 as Emergency Medical Services Week. With the theme EMS Stronger Together, we encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. With that, Mr. Chair, I will move this resolution.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Vetch. Is there any other discussion regarding the resolution for EMS week? Hearing none. Commissioner Burrell.
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous.
Thank you.
All right.
Coordinator Kelly, schedule committee of the whole meeting regarding the BKV proposal for design services for new administration offices.
Yes, Mr. Chair, as you recall, this was on the agenda last week and we couldn't come to some dates, so I did reach out to BKV, knowing we're going to have some absences in the commissioners with different things planned out of state. We kind of looked at two dates, either the end of this week to allow the 3-day posting, the 18th of May. Otherwise, we looked out to the afternoon of June 13th.
It would have to be after the 1 o'clock meeting.
Correct.
And
yes.
I have a 4 o'clock meeting that day, but
You can give us a third date?
We can look at other dates. I know they're going to be here today, so.
is there any, I can meet on the 18th.
The question of the board is, do you guys want to look at some of where we are financially on some of the stuff before you guys want to look at these proposals and stuff on this building? I'm just curious on that.
For the design?
The design before you guys want to kind of be moving forward on that kind of stuff? Do you guys want to see where some of the numbers are at with the new 272 with the new tax capacity? Now that we were able to fit the ERP, the 1.1 ERP within the 2.5 for the CIP, there's a lot of the numbers have changed quite a bit. I mean, we know a little bit more information now than we knew back then, but I mean, either way, if you guys want to meet with BKV, are we looking to make a recommendation to move forward with that proposal of that $1.6 million?
That would be the discussion point, yes.
So that's where I just want to make sure that you guys have enough information to be able to feel comfortable making that decision on where you want to go with that proposal.
No, I don't think I have all the information I want yet.
Well, is that part of the discussion, is getting that information?
Well, I don't know, would we have time at that meeting, or do you want to have a separate meeting where we can bring that sheet, that spreadsheet out with Bob and kind of talk about the forecasting a little bit?
Well, in discussions I had this week with Bob, we were planning to put an item on the 29th board meeting to schedule a committee of the whole to discuss that 5-year plan that we've been putting together. As you mentioned, we have had some, of course, favorable bids. We had favorable bonding come in. We've honed in on our CIP a little bit more for the upcoming year. So Bob and I have been working on honing that in even more. We've gathered more information since the last time we met on it. So we could do that as one meeting, or we could do two separate. I guess it kind of was a question to the board if there's additional information financial or otherwise, that would be helpful in reacting to this document, or additional information from BKV that we can gather, as I know you've gotten a copy of the proposal.
Well, I see that on the 1st of June, we have a CIP meeting, which I think was just a committee.
That's FF&E.
That was the committee of the whole for the furniture?
No, I mean,
CIP
there is a
and we got
CIP
two.
meeting that's just a committee meeting.
okay.
Yep, and then
From 9 to
there's,
10, but then we have committee of the whole for the courts furniture.
FF&E.
Is everybody going to be here for that meeting?
yep.
Yes.
Courts? Then why don't
Unless
we,
there's a snowstorm on Thursday and we
Want
can't
to do a
make
committee
it
of the whole to do the finance, to talk over the 5-year forecast?
well, as long as they're all going to be here, wouldn't that be a good time to do it?
And forecast?
Or you want to, I don't know if we can get BKV here on that day.
We don't really,
And do you really want to have BKV here
Well-
for a meeting that might be 2 hours long because we spend an hour talking about the 5-year forecast and then we spend how long talking? I don't know, you know?
Well, they may be here for the courts furniture, but it makes no difference.
care either.
We just want to find out what kind of funding we're going to have available.
That's,
It
yep.
would make sense to just do it kind of at the end of that meeting, or just have it part of that
Part of that
meeting,
meeting.
just extend the agenda, you know,
Okay.
for that.
Add it
meeting.
on to the,
Add it
that
onto
meeting?
the agenda for that furniture one, and then talk about, yeah.
we can
I
have
think that's
pizza
certainly an
brought in.
option, and then I can relay to the bench that I don't know that they need to be a part of the second item, even
No.
though it'll
So
be.
just do them first so that way, yeah, they can
them
get.
first and get them out, yeah.
And that way we can have a little meeting beforehand to get a couple of the other things verified.
Yep,
That sound all right with everybody?
all right.
So are we gonna have a meeting before the 10:30 meeting, or you guys?
We have our
We have a
CIP.
CIP one,
We have our
we have one.
CIP, and then, yep,
Pardon?
we have our CIP that morning,
Right,
yeah.
so are you gonna,
So just start
not
at
gonna go
10:30.
for the full hour and a half?
No, we'll be done by 10:30. We should be, it's at 9:30 to 10:30. We should be done by 10:30.
Oh, I've got 9 to
But
10.
I guess my
Oh, you have 9
question
to
is,
10?
can we meet,
I'm gonna be 9 o'clock, that's fine.
yeah,
Are you available after the
Yes.
courts meeting?
yes.
All right, so let's figure it at 11:30.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to add discussion on for the committee of the whole meeting that June 1st at 10:30, to add in discussion on the admin building, the proposal from BKV, along with pertinent and financial information.
Yep,
to
five-year
Bob
foreca- five-year
Bob Hebel
forecast.
And what have you, with the
I'll
different things.
second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any other discussions?
So, Mr. Chair, I apologize, I missed the motion.
That's too bad.
Okay, I guess I'll listen to the recording.
Well, that's why we record it.
The
so you
motion
can
was
catch
to
it.
include the BKV discussion with that June 1st one, to include the CIP with Bob Hebel and the forecasting, all that with it.
The 5-year, yep, the 5-year forecast
Five-year
with
forecast
the. Yep.
along with it, so we get, so
So
people
that
get a
will be
clear
added
picture.
to the 10:30 committee of the whole.
Correct.
Yep, so we're gonna do the 5-year forecast as item 2, and then BKV is item 3, and item 1 is obviously the courts.
There, go.
But we're not expecting BKV to be there, correct?
I don't know.
If they make it or not, it
If they
doesn't
make
really
it, they are, they don't, yeah.
Now, do we want to set a meeting with BKV?
Well, it depends on the outcome of that
Let's
meeting,
get this first.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't,
Or do you want to tentatively set something? Their option was the 13th, was it?
The 18th of May or 13th of June. were the
Well,
two
since we're meeting
dates.
June 1st, do you want to tentatively set it for June 13th in the afternoon? We can always cancel it, but at least they can get it penciled in.
Is that where Christine can't be
We've
there?
got the 1 o'clock meeting, and I've got a 4 o'clock meeting.
That's right.
So it'll be really tight for me on the 13th.
Okay.
Depends how
But-
heavy the committee day is that week.
yeah.
Can we meet on the 18th? This
No,
Friday?
we want to meet we want to go over the CIP part of it first.
Although if you could do it on Friday, June 8th, because we're gonna be, I'll be around here for Sheriff's Open House, so if I had to, yeah. If BKV's around the 8th.
Well, and I guess I'll propose this. Why don't we, add the 5-year forecast, to the June 1st committee of the whole. BKV representatives will be here for the groundbreaking. If there's a date that works good for them, we'll discuss it later today and bring it back on the 29th.
Okay,
Okay.
that works.
Sounds good.
All right.
So I believe that follows with the motion and second that was made.
by Christine.
Were you still planning on adding, we had the 5-year forecast, of course, we're already discussing the courts, FF&E. Do you want to add BKV just to discuss the proposal on that first June date, or would you prefer?
Well, I think it's automatic. We put it on there because it'll allude to talking about it.
Certainly. I just didn't know, and then schedule a date later for BKV to present their proposal to you.
Fair enough.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, we need to get our ducks in a row first,
Yep.
to see if we can even afford it.
And I do have workforce at 12:15 in Monticello. So if we schedule that, would it be possible to do it at like 9 in the morning on the 8th? And then we can attend the sheriff's open house after that?
Yeah, that would actually work out really good.
Okay.
Work on that.
All right, well, we'll check into that, see what's available.
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, I believe,
Yes.
regarding improving or including the 5-year CIP plan on June 1st. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chair, if you have a minute, I was informed we need to make a correction regarding the hiring of the communication specialist. Apparently, the number of the wage got transposed in the minutes. I apologize, I didn't catch that.
Not gonna change my vote, please.
Fair enough, Charlie. I respect your convictions. The correct number was 68,400 rather than 64,800. So I guess, Mr. Chair, I don't know if that changes the outcome or the discussion of the minutes in motion, but
Maybe I can get
apologize, I
somebody
didn't
else
catch
to go
that.
my way.
I just wish that this position in that case, in light of that, would have been, I'm going to go along with it because I truly believe it wasn't assigned enough points to begin with, because it's not titled or even tasked in the route that I believe that it's going to end up deemed to be more of a managerial type position. So it was graded lower than I thought it should be. Therefore, that is why it is at the top of the range, because otherwise I don't believe we would have gotten a qualified candidate to work within that range. So I'm going to go along with it, even though it's against my principles to hire somebody that high up in the pay range. But once again, it wasn't assigned the right points to begin with, I don't believe, so.
Well, I had a conversation with John Holler. He said if he would have known about it, he would have applied.
I know today, that's what he told me.
All right, so.
Chair, with that, I will move the corrected minutes and recommendation for item 2.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Hewsome and second by Commissioner Potter to correct the minutes and the amount for the hiring of the communication specialist above 12% of minimum hiring range. Is there any other discussions?
I'm just thinking maybe I can bring Derek along with me on this.
I fought hard for this position. I really think this is a needed position. So Charlie, I have to go. I'm going for this, even though only because the range is not correct. That's what I'm going to state.
All right. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-1 again. That's right. We're going to blame you this time, Sue. Alrighty. Advisory committee, advisory board updates. Coordinator Kelly, we'll start out with you today.
Very well, thank you, sir. Of course, today's the day of the groundbreaking, 11 o'clock. Hope you can all join us out there on site. Just a couple quick updates. I think we had a very successful law day. I don't have any statistics how many people attended, but we certainly had a busy courthouse on last Friday, the 11th. We've also begun, as you recall, we contracted for custodial cleaning. Building maintenance is starting to roll that out at some of the other buildings. Have now been working for about a week, and we'll be picking up here at the government center soon, probably the next week or two. So not a lot of updates for me this week, but a few things.
Okay. Commissioner Potter?
Well, this
All right,
is gonna be
Commissioner
great.
Batch?
Yeah, it is done. It is that quick.
Pardon?
It is that quick.
Same for me, it was a slow week, but I can tell you I'll have a lot more to report after the next board meeting, because the next 2 weeks are really busy for me, so.
Let's see. I was up here a lot day, and it was quite a few people.
They said it's up, numbers are up from last year, and I thought last year was busy.
Well, we had Parks meeting last night, and we got some information coming about somebody that wants to, well, a couple of different things. Regarding purchasing a small area that the owners prefer for us to do, which we had some discussions about. So there'll be more coming on that. And then also there's some tax forfeit land that has to go to the DNR. DNR, it's 12 and some acres. DNR can't get it because it's too small of an area, and they want the county parks to take it. We've got, right now, I've asked Mark to check onto it to see if it's a buildable piece of property. With it being tax forfeit, I kind of find it hard to believe. It's on a swamp lake as far as I'm concerned, so it's not an ideal. It's, people are using it now for parking on, to go duck hunting out there. So.
Did you guys discuss the CIP changes with in the board? And
Yep, we did. So.
they're kind of being able to kind of move things around to kind of get an idea how they'd want to play their.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little more tougher, but, and, you know, things could change. I told them it could go down even more. So they were happy with the 7. And just a reminder that you're on the radio tomorrow.
Yes, I will be on the radio.
So you all heard it here.
All right.
I was on for him last month, so if nobody shows up tomorrow, it's not my fault.
Okay.
Is it true that I heard you were singing?
Yeah. Row, row, row your boat. My grandson, we've been teaching him that one, and he's got down row, row so far, so he's learning for 16 months. Commissioner Newsom.
All right. The Safe Communities of Wright County met last Friday, and with the wonderful news that we've exceeded 6 months with no fatalities in the county, and Pat Hackman, the director, was looking to see, you know, if she thinks that's the longest we've gone without a fatality in the county. So that's wonderful. I think hopefully people are starting to pay a little bit more attention, and there's more and more exposure for distracted driving and don't text and, you know, don't talk on the phone, and presented some information about even if, say, you're drinking a cup of coffee, that's a distraction, and she has a wheel that you can look to see that each thing that you add, like you have kids fighting in the car, I mean, all these things that are distracting, where you have, you know, somebody that's talking and you're trying to, you know, figure out where you're going or pay attention. So we just really need to focus on driving when we're driving.
Yeah, I always told my wife I should have a limousine window when I drive, so, you know, you pick that up.
I know, it's like, I know.
Don't see nothing.
Or use squad car.
Yep.
Feel good.
So the Click It or Ticket May statewide campaign for seatbelt enforcement is May 21st to the 31st. It's a border-to-border extra push from 4 to 8 p.m. And Minnesota really,
that week.
Minnesota really is. I mean, we're in the 90s for seatbelt usage, so that's you know, really good. The Pat Hackman is looking to do more opportunities for presentations. We've got some they're kind of like a pull-up display, and with different messages about distracted driving that you can put in different companies' break rooms or that kind of thing, and there's a different message each week. So looking at different companies around the county to put these in, so they'll have a message one week and then the next week, another one, and then we can move the first one to a different business. So that's something that we're looking at.
Can I put one in the back window of my car?
Yeah, that wouldn't be distracting. I don't think it fit. I think they're, I don't know how many, inches tall. They're pretty tall, but. So, and Law Day, that was, it was fun. I saw the K-9 demonstration. That was good. I couldn't make it to a couple of the other presentations that I was interested in, but I did go and see that debate between Judge Halsey and Judge Strand. They were dressed in 1860s outfits, and the debate was about keeping the county seat in Monticello or moving it to Buffalo.
That would be good.
And
Did they videotape that?
They did. I think I have to find out where it's going to be posted, but it was just really, really nicely done and researched. He portrayed the editor of the newspaper, and so he had gone through actual news clippings and things to gather the information, and she was a citizen, the wife of the man whose home that they donated to the county. So they did a really nice job.
Who won?
I think Buffalo did.
No, okay.
Pretty sure on that.
So the Monticello one was the whiskey peddler with the saloon girls lost.
Yeah. They did talk about moving any discussion to the local watering hole. Yes.
See, you want to go down in history, Christine? We could go and move it back to Monticello here when we're doing a new admin building, They'll be talking about us 100 years from now.
Oh, my. So anyway, and it was kind of cute. Pat gave us all, in celebration of the no fatalities, a box of junior mints, and on the back it says, "Safe Communities of Wright County, thanks you for your commitment." And all these words with mint instead of investment and involvement. We are making a difference.
Commissioner Burrell.
Just want to remind the board, we met at Soil Water last night. They're having a conservation tour, inviting a lot of the state representatives, state senators. It's going to be June 14th, starts at 9 o'clock. But they would like kind of a commitment from people, whether they're going to make it or not. So they know what size bus to get. If we have to, we'll actually, end up with a 55 passenger or whatever, or we can go with a smaller one if it's a smaller group. So,
are you driving again?
If it would make you go, I would forgo driving. But I said I would volunteer to do that.
Charlie's making big lunches for everybody too?
No, he said he was going to grill pork chops.
Oh, he's going to grill pork chops.
They do stop, and they have a lunch. Last year we stopped at Nay Park, and they have lunch with it too. So I actually thought it was a good thing. It shows where some of our money that we invest in some of these projects are making a difference. And but June 14th, 9 o'clock, and we'd pick up right out here. So just let me know.
Are we supposed to send?
Okay.
I have to meet you someplace because I have Public Works Labor Management at 8:15.
I have it on my calendar, Charlie. I will be there this year.
Okay, Mark?
I have it on my calendar.
I have it on my calendar.
Because we got a huge notice this year, so I put it on there back in April, so I knew we were good.
That was the thing. So, okay, appreciate that. And then the other thing, it's possible good news. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency has $2.6 million that they're going to put out in 10 different grants. And the Soil Water voted last night to apply for that grant, and using the Ditch 10 as it's for smaller watersheds, like a Ditch 10 type thing, where they feel they have a real good chance at it because of the engineering that we've invested already in it and the factual information that we have. So that could end up being $260,000 right there toward water quality.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that comes through. And with that though, Mike, I know you dropped this off. I already have it. But on June 27th at 9 o'clock in Mankato, this is the agricultural drainage and future of water quality. And Lee, I think I'd like to put that on the agenda to authorize attendance, because not everybody might be interested in the drainage part of it, but they do emphasize water quality a lot with these. And I think especially with the projects we have going in our county, with the pilot down there in Ditch 10, I think it would benefit all of the board if they were able to make it to one of them. I was at one a couple years ago, and that's where I met the people from ISG, and they showed some of the things they're doing, and it was, you know, like I said, they're coming up with new things all the time, so I think it's going to be worthwhile, so. But I'll bring that up, like I said, I'll talk to Lee about putting it on the agenda, whether it's consent agenda or whatever, I'll have to find out, so. But, okey-doke, and that's all. Oh, and then the other thing, July 18th to the 22nd, Wright County Fair. It's early this year, I want to let everybody know. Got to get it on your calendar because it's not at the end of July, it's more mid-July. So.
And isn't there a famous county coordinator playing at the county fair this year?
Yep, we have.
World famous.
World famous. Well, I thought it was just at least state famous. After the county fair, you'll be world famous.
I don't know if I'm going to get a percentage of the cut on that, for, you know, because I referred them, you know, but
He'll give you honorable mention during the drum solo.
Maybe that. Maybe I could get a plug, you know, whatever. Okay, that's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Does the press have anything for us?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Looking forward to 11 o'clock, going out and groundbreaking.
All right.
Well, at least that's one of us. Regarding the Senate bill, has something come across yet for reimbursement to Wright and Becker County? I haven't seen anything. I've seen it, it's in the House, but I haven't seen the Senate yet.
I have not seen a written confirmation of the Senate.
Okay, and I did email, and I believe you did also, I don't know if any of the other commissioners have, emailed our senators asking for them to get a companion bill on that, and I had response from them saying they were going to look into it, but I haven't seen anything else. So.
All right.
All right.
That's it?
Mr. Chair?
Yes?
One other item, thank you, Mr. Chair, is sometime in June, I'd like Alicia O'Hare to give us an update on the aquatic invasive species, that thing there, if it's possible, if we can reach out and see at what point in time.
Well, they should be doing their, because they have to do their presentation at the end of June, didn't they?
So that would be, okay, that'd be fine.
Thank you for reminding me. I got a invitation to go out last Thursday to the site, decontamination site, or the inspection and decontamination site, and I was one of the stopwatch people to time. So the thing that delays them a bit is the required survey from the DNR, and but you know, it's just the very first one, and so the whole thing took like 7 minutes. And I think that, I'm sure that after they had a few practices that they were getting faster. So they had like 4 boats pulled up at the same time, but then we got a real customer, so they got a real
customer. So what's the fake customers?
I know. We got a real guy in, so you know, he got to go ahead. But they have the decontamination. They had just put a building up to house the water. You know,
hot water, pressure washer.
Yep. And then they'll be able to pull onto either side of that building. So if you won't have to like wait in line or that kind of thing. And it's pretty rare that they have to go through that process. But the inspection itself takes about a minute.
Okay.
So if they found something, then it would, you know. So from the time they pull up to the time they pull away, it was 7 minutes. But like I said, it was just working with the questions, and there's one question that's a little confusing because the first one is, where were you last? You know, what lake? How many days ago? Or when? You know, she said 5 days. Where are you going next? Well, I'm going to Sylvia. And no, what they meant was, after you go to Sylvia, then what's your plans to go to your next lake? So that seemed like a question that wasn't necessary. So that was just a bit confusing. So that kind of took a little time to go back and forth about really what that question meant. But
I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow. I'm putting my folks' boat in the lake, so I have to go through it tomorrow.
Right.
So I'll let you know how it goes.
Good. Yeah.
Go incognito so they don't know it's you.
Yeah, don't wear your name badge.
All right,
I did want to mention that with the AIS, they did talk about that a little bit and said it actually went relatively smooth, actually very smooth, they said.
you don't know how many they went through.
They named the numbers, Mark, and I do not remember, but for some reason, 140 sounded kind of.
More than one and less than 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
I did not write it down.
They're
but they
officially
said it went
opening on that Friday, the next day, so, but.
Good, so that'd be a good follow-up.
All right. Okay. Anything else before the board? If not, we are adjourned at 10:15.
All right.